Turbo Toys R Us. 6.
Alright guys, the problem with this machine today seems to be an alternator on this carrier unit for the reefer. So I'll be diagnosing this here momentarily. Last time I worked on this machine, it had a problem with one of the HID headlights. The dealer was recommending that the whole HID headlight assembly needs to be changed for about $4,000. I was able to fix that without changing the headlight. It was a short in the wire harness, and I was able to diagnose, find, and fix, but unfortunately I couldn't record it because I needed both hands to work. This right headlight right here is the one not working. In order to get under there, you have to lift up this hood here, take off all of this fender guard underneath, and the wire harness is under there. Okay, the wire harness was not available at the dealership. We were able to get it in Miami. I will put the location of the parts store in Miami. We were able to get this pigtail for the headlight, and that's what I was able to solder to the original wire harness. Right, it's a one piece, it's not a plug off harness, so it was a pretty tedious job. All of the wires are yellow. I had to do them individually, that way you don't mix up the wires because they're all the same color, they're not color coded. So it was a pretty tedious job to do that, but the problem essentially was the ground was broken. Salt entered the back side of the plug that plugs onto the headlight assembly, which gives ground and power to all the various lights, including the HID headlight in the headlight assembly. So once that was fixed, it was nighttime, so I couldn't give you guys a recording. 2015 Peterbilt, big old turbo up under there. See if I get you a shot of that turbo when I'm done. Okay, but for now, let's get to this alternator issue. See if we can troubleshoot and solve exactly what's going on this carrier reefer unit. All right, first order of business, guys. You want to turn off the power. That button right there, I just pressed it and the red light went out. Okay. Guys, so this is the unit right here for this carrier. And our alternator is way back there. All right, so what I'm doing here, the customer ran this wire here. This wire powered up the battery and kept this going, kept this charging, because it seemed like the alternator was not powering up and this battery was unable to start this carrier unit. So by running this jumper wire from the main batteries up front, the customer was able to power this up and it ran. That way they could keep it operating until they got to me. What I did first, I disconnected this jumper wire, tested the battery. The battery tested about 11.3 volts. Now what I'm gonna do is start up this carrier unit separate, right? Separated from the power coming from the main batteries. And then I'm going to test the alternator on this carrier unit to see what the output reads. .1. Alright, the reefer unit is switched on, just waiting for it to start up. Alright, diagnosis showed that the alternator is undercharging at 11.3 volts, sometimes fluctuating to 11.8. So I already pulled this bolt right here. It's a 13 millimeter. That's the adjuster bolt right here, where you're gonna lock the adjustment with the belt. And there's a big 19 millimeter up top there. Alright, pulling it from here, the side door is an easier access. There we go. First this top nut. Gotta have the right tool for the job. Ratchet. Alright, not taking it out all the way yet, because one of the main things you need to do is take these two leads off, power and ground, okay? Mainly, you gotta secure this power. Even though we shut off the power to the unit from the breaker underneath there, I showed you earlier, you still want to secure this power lead right here, because you don't want it to touch ground. Touch ground, it's gonna blow a fuse or worse, okay? Let's pull these down and get our alternator out. All right, so the power one is a 10 millimeter. The ground one is a 8 millimeter. So it's turning. You don't want to bend the copper lead too much. So. Alright guys, unfortunately the ground lead broke off. So I'm going to have to manufacture a new lead where I secure the ground. But see it? Power one is there, still good, but the ground one broke off. Alright, you need to pay attention. There are 3 holes. It's in the middle one here. Right. Alright, there we go. Simple alternator, single belt. Performance parts, part number right there. Performance parts. Alright, this is our backup part. Slap this guy on real quick. First thing I'm going to do is mash it part number up. Okay, part number is, that's it. Part number is 30-01114-03. This one is -06. That's the only difference. It's still 14 volt and 70 amp. Okay, it seems like it might work. Okay, the mounting assembly is the same. The only difference in this alternator is the last two digits. One is 06, one is 03. So let's try it out. It's coming down, guys, so I'm gonna try to mount this real quick, and then I worry about putting on a new end for that ground base. Yep, it's still in the groove on the crankshaft and on the water pump here, and then tighten it up with some tension. Right. That's that. Steadying the alternator in place, and then the bottom one will put the tension on it. This should be suitable for the amount of tension. Alright guys, to do the lead that's broken off there for the ground, these are the things I'm going to use. This here is a cutter. For those major tough wires, you need something like this here to cut it. It's a cable cutter. You can source it from Home Depot. This is a crimper tool. In case it's a little bit too tough, I'm going to use this here to crimp it down, get it down to size. You adjust the crimping size of the wire, and then you can use it to secure your wire in the term. Perfect investment right here. This also I bought from Home Depot. This here is a wire stripper. It's made by Klein Tools. Perfect wire stripper that you need when you're doing these kind of jobs. These are the things you're gonna need, okay? Of course, shrink tubing, okay? These are the ones with the silicone in it. You heat it up, the silicone gets to seal it. All right, it's kind of drizzling, guys. I'm gonna get to it. This is our terminal right here. The wire stripper couldn't fit over this gauge wire, so I had to use good old razor blade. So I opened this terminal a little bit, slide it over, and now I'm gonna use this crimping tool here to get it perfectly secured on the wire. That's it. All right. Okay. Whatever is left out, I'm gonna have to trim it off. All right, so hopefully you can see the crimp is successful. Wire is secured. The little wires that are sticking out now, I'm just gonna cut it off and we'll be ready to shrink tube and get this thing on. The hole is bigger than the first one that I took off. You can see in comparison here. Okay, the new one I put on, the hole is bigger. So what I'm gonna do to compensate for that is use two washers, one underneath, one on top, and that should make sure that I have a good contact, okay? All right. Is it on cinematic?
Yes.
Okay. Back up. That's just a truck being started now. Now I'm going to crank up the reefer unit. As the reefer unit cranks, I'm going to disconnect the jumper cable from the battery. The Battery was low, so I'm using the jumper cable to start the reefer unit right now. Switch ignition. This is the sense lead. This is battery voltage constant all the time, 12 volts. This is what gives the regulator its charge reference to know how much to put out. This is a light circuit. This will drive a light, tell you whether your alternator is working or not. But you may not need this wire to make it work. Give it a sense. I'm going to give it an ignition. Power. It's not turning on. Give it a light. Now the light's on. Lights are. You are correct. It does not work. Alright, so we just tested my 2RZ 160 amp alternator, guys, and it is not working. Now, where did I test it? A local alternator shop here in Fort Lauderdale, okay? This is the name. East Coast Battery and Electric. Since 1948. They specialize in marine batteries, alternators, and starters. Alright, guys. Local companies, guys. We love to plug our local companies here that do specialty work right here in South Florida. So check them out. You got your marine stuff, batteries, alternators you need to get done, starters. These are the perfect guys for the job. Thank you. My YouTube channel.
working. 120 amps. Can't go much more than that. It's fixed.